Have you ever heard this phrase? When you go through some difficult times, when you are in conflicts, when you felt like you were treated like a dirt, you were treated without respect, and you feel so hurt. And then someone says to you, well, it is not all about you. When you hear that first, it hurts you more because you are accustomed to think, we are trained to think that it's all about me. It's all about you. But the definition, the reality sets in. I mean, when you realize it's not all about you, it's kind of liberates you. Don't you think? It is about them. Yeah? It is not about you. It kind of liberates you. That is, I believe, what happened in Abraham's journey, is a faith journey he experienced in Genesis 22. That he somehow understood it is not all about him. Although it is for his spiritual journey, God tested his faith, but it wasn't all about him. It was all about who? God. It was all about God. You see, God had given him so many things, and he finally gave him Isaac, and then before he enjoyed to its fullness, he asked what? Give it back to me. And he simply followed instruction, God's instruction, without fighting. How? He must understood it's not all about him, his Isaac. It's all about God, what God wants to do in his life. That's how he passed, and that's how God blessed his. Yes, thank you. So, what do you think God wants us to learn from this passage? What do you think God, do you think someday God will ask you to sacrifice your only beloved child to see if you are willing to do it? You better believe it. You better believe it. Sometimes God requests some unreasonable request to you so that he can strengthen your faith journey. You see, it's all about God who cares, who loves you like you are the only one in the whole wide world. He is focusing on you, on your behalf. So I come up with 3 P's about God. It's about God's promise. It's about God's prerogative. It's about God's plan. This story is all thing about. It's all about God. So you pull out your insert and put down, it's all about God. God's 3P, and then you post it and you got it. Okay? God's, it's all about God. And then let me explain to you why it's all about God. First of all, it's about God's promise. Why did God give Abraham Isaac? Why did he? Because God promised to Abraham, one day I will make you the father of many nations. How in the world is God going to do without heir, right? And God had promised. And Abraham believed it, but his wife laughed at God because she knew that she couldn't bear a child. It's a way past beyond menopause. So she tried to modify what God had promised them, right?
Yes, right.
And in her own understanding, on her logic, and she created a mess out of God's blessing. And she asked her husband to lie down with her maid, Hagar, and they bore a son. She bore the son, and Ishmael, and till today we have a mess because she tried to modify God's promise. You see, faith journey is all about what God has promised to you. Then let God fulfill it because His reputation is on the line. You don't have to worry too much. You see, you don't have to modify it and create a whole mess out of God's blessing. You see, what is Isaac in your life? Has God promised Isaac? God promised to fulfill your dream, promised to give you a precious child, give you a precious job or relationship, anything God has promised, but it seems like it's not happening. So you are about to modify what God has promised to you. Do not modify. Wait upon God that He is in charge of His promise. He will deliver it. Remember the Joseph? And God gave him a dream about every nation that bow down before him. And he shared it with his brothers. And brothers got jealous and sold him to Egyptian. And he went through a whole shebang of trials and tribulations in his life. But eventually, in the end, he became prime minister of Egypt, and their brothers, everybody bowed down. You see, God delivers His promise when He made it to you. So you gotta say, well, that's in the Bible. Give me the example of in daily lives, in our lives. When God promised that. I know one of my friends. She had the first baby, was a daughter, and it's a very important for Koreans to have a son. And so naturally they wanted a son, have another child. And once you have the first baby, you assume that you're going to have a baby again, right? Well, it didn't happen. So about 7 years into, it's like trying to modify the plan, and they were in trouble. The marriage was in trouble. Korean guys tried to go out and, have a son from somewhere else. So the both of them went to retreat and, prayed and cried out to God and for a son. And then through a pastor's vision, God told them that they will have a son. And they were so happy to hear about it, and they jumped and joined. And then went home this month, next month. It didn't happen. She kept having, periods, and didn't happen. So finally, they kind of forget about that, And then on the third year, guess what? God gave them a son. That son was born. And although this couple look like, after 10 years now, look like grandparents for this son, but God kept His promise. You see, when you have a vision of God, or you have a dream, that desire in your heart, that is from God, and God gives you desire, then if that is from God, God will keep it because His reputation is on the line. So you only have to do what? Trust and obey. That's how you pass, and God's going to bless your socks off. Amen?